Right then, team. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Scratch Record podcast. We are back again. It's episode 23, but Boris has taken us back inside, hasn't he? We're back on the lockdown sessions.
Back into the prison.
Back to the prison on the mics. And today we are joined by a special guests. We're our first virtual interview. We have Phantom Isle here today, boys. How are we?
Hello.
Very good. Thanks for having us.
How are we doing? All right.
Doing all right.
Yeah, pretty good, thank you. Plodding along.
Living life.
Yeah, plodding along. Yeah, life. It is what it is.
Living La Vida lockdown.
Living La Vida lockdown. We're losing Joe slowly as we work through this, I feel.
I can hear you. I'm all good.
Oh, okay, cool.
Everyone's just going to have to bear
boys?
with us, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone just is going to have to bear with us. We're trying to work with the signals and getting it all synchronised, but this is what you've got for the next 4 weeks. So please stick about. But how are we then, boys? How have you found pre-lockdown this summer? What's it been like for you lot?
Do you want to go first, Josh?
You know what? The positives have been I have loved the slowdown. I don't know about you guys, but just slowing down life and just being able to sit and reflect has been really nice. Both me and Pete live in London, and it is just 100 miles per hour all the time. So to be confined to your flat or wherever, I mean, it's like being back in bloody Northampton again, really.
Yeah. the countryside.
Which is never bad.
No, exactly. What about you, Pete?
I totally echo what Josh has said there. Really, not life is. I'm normally sort of running around both for my sort of day job and when we actually do gigs and sort of meetings for this band and that kind of thing, and just being able to essentially do everything at home. It's just why are we living in London? No, it's but it's it's nice to have just kind of that extra time and space to actually work on more material for a start. But yeah, I do,
Sure.
we both try and get out of the house as much as we can, because I think that's one pitfall that everyone has fallen into during this period, is just forgetting to do exercise, essentially.
Yeah, literally.
I have anyway.
Yeah, no, same here, definitely. So give anyone who hasn't heard of Phantom Isle, or maybe has but just doesn't know as much about you, can you take us through a little bit of a story, how it all started, and how you've got to now, as quick as you can?
Fourscore and 50 years ago, so this people in Northampton especially will probably know, years ago I was a solo artist, and in sort of 2017 we decided, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah,
yes.
Mate.
Yeah.
It's encouraged.
Okay, we decided, fuck this shit, we're doing something new. So we kind of shelved the Peter Marchant band, and we decided to kind of do something. It took kind of playing singer-songwriter kind of material, a bit more acoustic pop kind of thing that we were doing before, to realise actually, we're all sort of indie alternative kind of musicians, really, rather than trying to do something mainstream. I made a mistake trying to do something that I thought would sell well. You've just got to go with what's in your heart. As cringy as that sounds.
Yeah, for sure.
But it started off with just the three of us, myself, my brother Matt on bass, and Sam, our drummer from the previous, the Peter Marchant band, and then we needed a keyboard player, and we actually auditioned Marcus from Sarpa Salpa. Before Sarpa Salpa really got going, and he was great. He was really good. But
Not good enough.
well,
yeah, he was all right, but just not quite.
no, I mean, you know, there was a part of me that was like, you know, I knew that Sarpa were going to be going on to do sort of big things, and I didn't really want to kind of for him to have to make a choice between them and us, and so you know, Sarpa was very much his thing, and so I thought his heart is with that project. I want, you know, someone in this band who can throw
Into
their whole
yours.
heart and soul into it. And Josh was just the man. Me and Josh had known each other since primary school. We grew up, you know, in the next village.
Yeah.
You know, the months after that, we started sort of doing a lot of gigs in London, sort of smaller gigs, and then started gigging in Northampton, coming back to our hometown as well. By this time, my brother, who was on bass originally, had persuaded us, you know, myself and Sam, to move to London. And sadly, my brother passed away last year. He was diagnosed with a brain tumour. You know, straight after filming the video for one of our songs, Focus, about 2 years ago. But we kept, you know, he really wanted to kind of stay involved with the band while it was still going. And we did. We had another amazing bass player step in to his shoes for a while, called Esme. You know, because we honestly believe that Matt would eventually be well enough to sort of rejoin. And yeah, you know, Matt's condition, we were told, was essentially terminal. I'm not to bring the tone down. This is literally, this is how it is. This is what we've literally gone through the last couple of years. And eventually, you know, we needed a permanent bass player in the band to take Matt's place. I mean, Matt was still in the band until the day we lost him, but Matt was a multi-instrumentalist. He could play keyboard as well. So Matt sort of officially, even though we had another bassist, who by this time was Johnny, originally from the band Fox Chapel, who has been an amazing fit in this band. Matt was up and was here in this band. You know, for a short while we were a 5-piece while Johnny was in the band, and we still had Matt with us. So since Matt's passing, you know, obviously I had to spend a lot of time with my family looking after Matt and everything. And since then, you know, I suppose I've now got the kind of spare time to really throw into this band, and we're all feeling more kind of driven and determined than ever to make sure that this band that we started with Matt goes stratospheric. You know, that's the aim. He drives us on, and I think we're starting to do just that. You know,
for sure. And I think, like,
I mean, you definitely are.
When he passed away, I think that was kind of like the oh fuck, life is really short, and you better start doing what you love because it might be gone. Like, that was kind of the and also I think there was a kind of like, because I don't know about you, Pete, but like there was a kind of self-consciousness about us before, and I think we were a little bit anxious as a band. I don't think we'd kind of grown, and then after Matt passed, it was just like, you know what, let's just fucking bleed our hearts out in this music and just you know, go for it.
Yeah, no holes barred. We're just going to do whatever the hell we want.
You can really see, like, your older stuff was incredible, and he obviously had that element to it, but this newer stuff that you lot are bringing out seems very driven and poignant, and like you've really got something to say in it, and it can really show. It really does show.
Oh, thanks. You know, I think there's even more. To be honest, the topic of losing my brother, you know, I've not really even had the strength yet to sort of write much material about it, you know, but it is starting to, you know, to sort of come in to our newer stuff in some way. But to be honest, we don't want the focus to be on what we've been through, you know, in a negative sense. You know, we're still young, we've still got, you know, the fun side of life to be lived, and that's what we want to try and inject into the performance, into the music and stuff. It's not all doom and gloom,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
that's so nice to take that message from it, is to, because I think it would be quite easy for you to call it and say, after going through that, be like, fuck this, I can't do it, and sort of forget it. But to take that and spin it in a way to say, I'm going to use that as a reason to keep going and to take it to the levels that you can take it to for that reason, I think is really nice. I think that's and it's something that in this industry it's hard to make it, but it almost gives you that something different where like you're not going to stop for that reason, and I like that.
No, it's if anything, it's more reason to just go out there and smash it as hard as you can,
Yeah, definitely, I get that. And to be fair, you have been. I mean, you've had a lot of support recently. Jack Saunders and Hugh Stevens has been playing you on the radio. You've had BBC introducing. You've done some amazing gigs. So how are you sort of like? Are you satisfied with where you've been so far? And like, how proud are you of it? And then how far do you think you can go?
Well, as Josh will tell you, this is merely the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Things elaborate.
Yeah, I think definitely it feels like in the last year we've really come a long way. But like people were saying in the story, we literally probably had to start again twice because we had to train up 2 new bassists while gigging, and then so it really delays a band's progress. Not that I regret any of it happening, because it is it makes our story really fucking interesting, and it drives us forward. So to kind of lock in with Johnny and now have this 4-piece, and the 3 of them live together, and I don't live that far away, it just seems to all be starting to come together, and we're really starting to get some momentum behind us.
Yeah, for sure. I think you are, and I think especially with your newest song, Whip, you really almost capitalised a little bit. It was almost like you had up your sleeves, and then just as the popularity is growing, you can be like, here's probably our best track, and that's the reaction to that's been so positive, and you must take so much from that and be excited to get the next one out and really ride the wave.
You wait for the next one.
What have you got planned with it?
You ain't gonna know what hit you.
I'm so excited.
We're as you can probably tell, even just from Marvy and Whip, we are not a band that just stick to a sort of template. We're not a band that are going to make something that sounds just kind of the same vibe, the same with every song, because there's literally no point in doing that. I don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
And there's a lot of artists these days are afraid to kind of step out of their own box that they've created for themselves. And if we want to do a really fucking angry punk song, we're going to do it. And if we're going to do a song that is inspired by 80s sort of Giorgio Moroder disco, we're going to do it. There is no place we will not go.
Love that.
Yeah.
I think that's the best way to be, especially when you've got these creative forces behind yourselves where you can really emulate everything that you listen to and you really enjoy. You see that with very minimal bands. A lot of people find this one template that works. Take Catfish and the Bottlemen, for example. Their music's brilliant.
Are you psychic?
It's 3 of the same albums. It's 3 of the same albums. And end of the day, having that extra little levels and the being able to diversify your music and show your talent really is something that is quite hard to find and far between.
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned Catfish and the Bottlemen there. I was watching there was a sort of BBC introducing sort of panel talk that they did, which I was watching this morning, and they're a hugely successful band, and I have a lot of respect for them, but they're just so fucking boring. Do you not think?
Yeah.
No,
guys,
if you're listening,
I think
no hate.
If you're listening, retweet it immediately, please, because you've got millions of followers. But,
I know.
No,
But
I do agree. Like,
Van McCann's a very nice guy.
Yeah, he seems
you know, he messaged me years ago. Before about a year or two before they really broke, and just completely messaged me out of the blue because Catfish were doing a gig in Birmingham, and he was like, I've still got like screenshots of the messages. He's like, hello mate, I see you're into mint music. My band Catfish and the Bottlemen are playing at the Sound Bar in Birmingham on the 10th of April. Come and see us. And he sent me the demos, and I thought, they're all right, you know. He seemed like a nice enough guy. We chatted a bit on there. I met him at the backstage at Dot to Dot Festival in Bristol, you know, a year after that, just as they were starting to pick up a bit of momentum. But I honestly couldn't have predicted how massive they would end up being. It's just insane at where they've gone.
It's unbelievable, yeah. And to be fair, like the music is good music, but it is all very similar, and they've found that successful template. And I think that does work for some people. That does obviously work for some people. But I think having that diversity shows you as like a proper artist. If you go like being a good musician is different to being a good artist, I think. And I think having that diversity really does help with that almost like longevity in music, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like I think, you know, I know a lot of it's quite cliched to sort of cite David Bowie as an example, but he is an artist who changed and metamorphosized with every couple of years to change with the time, and he didn't just follow the trends, he set the trends for what was, you know, for what was relevant and what was current in the mid 70s, the late 70s, the early 80s. You know, he just constantly morphed and just typified each era that he existed in. You know, that's how you do it. You don't just stick to the same template for your entire career, you know.
100%, and that's what makes him one of the greatest artists that have ever lived, because he managed to, even up to when he released his final album Black Star, like it's still so different, but like it's so different to everything else he's made, but still was one of the greatest albums that was released that year. Like he still managed to like throw it, even though he has this massive name now. He was able to put an album out that wasn't like Eminem's another example of it, where like he released his new album, it gained chart traction, but it's the same shit he released in 90s. But like whereas Bowie released that album before he died, managed to get that chart stuff, and was also completely fucking different to anything he'd released in the past.
Yeah,
so true.
He was always innovating, you know, and that's the kind of artist, you know, we want to be. You know, we want to always be innovating somehow.
I think it helps
that's
as
really
well,
good,
because we're all like we don't like, all of us have different influences completely, like, and we're not like guys who have like got together because we all have the same music taste, because we don't. And like that, I think we each bring, it's taken a long time to get the sound, but we each bring like a little bit different. Like for me, I love electronic music. I'm a keyboard player, so like I love electronic music. Yeah, exactly.
What do you expect?
Like, I just love that. Yeah, and like 80s pop and like all of that kind of stuff. Like Sam loves he's a drummer, so he loves classic rock, you know.
Yeah, of course.
Like Johnny loves all that like Bauhaus stuff, and the Stranglers.
Okay.
And then Pete. Well, me and Pete, but Pete is a massive Queen fan, so, you know, put that all in a melting pot.
Yeah.
What are you going to get?
Yeah,
this is it. Like,
I like that. That is really sick. And I think especially, like, we've cited it countless times on the podcast, but, like, when there's, like, the reason why indie music's so difficult is because there is such a saturation of brilliant bands. And I do think, like you guys and like Sarpa and Garden and Barrett's and these bands that are all from this area, I think naturally get quite a lot of different influences and aren't like tied down to being like a Manchester band that has to sound like a Manchester band, or anything else, you can sort of do your own thing, and that naturally leads to really like diverse sort of music tastes, which I think sort of a reason why maybe Northampton bands are doing so well at the moment is because it sticks out from that real saturated crowd.
I think you're right.
Going to sort of what you said there about like Manchester bands. I mean, like you think of the Smiths, for example, and although sort of musically, generally they kind of fit that sort of expectation people had of bands from Manchester at that time. You know, there's just this real eccentric kind of fly in that. Well, not a fly. I'm not calling a Morrissey a fly in the ointment, but like, you know, this sort of this extraordinary sort of thing within that sort of template, as it were. You know, and he, in his own right, you know, there was that extra thing, the X Factor.
That's it.
Yeah, he was, and I think that is something like it does really show with everything they released. Like it was so different to what Manchester normally brings out, and I think we're seeing bands that are bringing out that different sound, like yourselves, I think are starting to gain that almost attention because it is so unique. It kind of takes the element of being like a Manchester band, because there's so many brilliant Manchester bands, but there is still that distinct Manchester sound, isn't there?
For sure. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, because I think you guys were discussing it a few episodes before, weren't you? Like that Northampton just doesn't have like a sound.
Doesn't have it doesn't. There's so many different influences around here, like being in almost in the middle of like lots of sounds of having, you know, Manchester leads for a little bit more dancey electronic-y type stuff, and still having that London punk scene as well being really close by. Like because we're slap bang in the middle, it makes it really kind of diverse and different to everything else.
It's quite hard to sort of pinpoint, you know, what exactly the sound is for a lot of cities. You know, there was definitely a time where Birmingham, for example, in the sort of early 2010s, Birmingham definitely had a sound, didn't it? With bands like Peace and Swim Deep and Superfood. You know, there was a time, you know, not that long ago where Birmingham really had a sound, didn't it? Whereas, you know, it's kind of hard really now to sort of pinpoint what exactly that is for Birmingham. It's the same for a lot of places.
Yeah, definitely. So I sort of wanted to speak to you guys about like this move down to London, and just generally like tell that story a little bit. Like, was it a conscious music decision to think we're going to do better down there, or was it a work related thing, or like speak to us about
I'll let Josh go first here.
Yeah, I suppose I moved there first. Like, so I went to Brighton uni and studied music there, and hated it. I thought it was crap.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
really?
Not the like. I loved Brighton. I loved partying. I was out 5 nights a week. Like, you know, it was you know, it was a good time. But I'm dyslexic, so I don't get on with like education setting. I just like going out there and doing stuff. So it just didn't. It didn't. So I quit after 2 years, and then I was like, what am I going to do? I'm not going to move back to Northampton. Like, you know, without like. It was 2011. So, all right. So it was the height of the recession at that point. I was like, I'm not going to get a job in Northampton. Like, I'm going to have to move to London. So I moved to London and worked in restaurants, and I've had so many jobs, and then managed to get a job in uni. And then, back in 2017, Pete, was it you, Pete, or was it Matt who it was you who put a Facebook status being like, we're looking for a keyboard, and I was like, I like it. I haven't done music. I haven't done music in a lot. I hadn't done music in a long time. I hadn't been in a band like since I quit uni. I was like, I just don't want to do it anymore. I just didn't have the opportunity. And then these guys brought me back, and now I've gone part-time and bought loads of keyboards and like really want to make a go of it, because it's really
we've saved you from the clutches of an ordinary life, Josh.
You really did. It's like I was like pushing pens around basically, or like, yeah. And then I think naturally, well, Pete, you could tell your story, but then it's just kind of our lives are kind of molded into this band and taken over.
Yeah. No, it's fun. I mean, Josh has kind of summed most of it up, really. I put that status out, and as far as I was aware, I hadn't seen Josh in years, even though we used to see each other almost every day at school, and we went on music tours, back with the school and stuff, and I put the status out, and Josh didn't even comment on it or sort of message me or anything. He literally just liked the status.
Just liked it.
I thought I was shit. I didn't think I was very good, so I was like, I don't even know if I'm good enough to like be with you guys who are like, you've been playing since years, and I was like, I'm just this guy in a suit. Like, I'm not good. So but then the rest is history.
You couldn't have been more wrong. Josh, especially these days, is is very much a wizard, and sitting there behind his synths and his drum machines and all that shit.
I love it. I just love it. It's good fun.
Oh, nice. I think that's a cool story though. Like, I think it's nice that it all sort of, you started from one point and then all took different paths, and then it all sort of like merged back together, and say it's sort of right place, right time sometimes, isn't it? And then something so good can come from that. It is really cool.
Yeah, for sure. But because
so what have you boys?
Oh god. Ooh. No, you go. Go.
No, you go. Go on. No.
I wasn't going to add it. I wasn't going to add anything. So
go on.
Lockdown interviews, everyone.
I was going to say, what are you? Oh, I tell you, it all just jumps on top of you, and then you get a little bit of break, and someone tries to jump in, and then everyone jumps in. It is what it is.
We're all right.
No, I was gonna ask, what's up next for you boys then? So obviously this lockdown's come round and stunted whatever you were doing this summer, and meaning that you're not able to maybe complete some of the tasks you wanted to do by Christmas. But what's next for you lot?
So we've got some more material. I don't want to give away too much just yet, but we've got
exclusive.
So we have got some more stuff. Recorded, mixed, which we will be releasing in some format next year. Well, we know, but we're not going to tell just yet. We want to wait till we've done the proper
we got
announcement.
We got the possible final mixes today, and
cool.
they sound amazing. If I don't say so myself, but
good.
Love it.
It sounds so.
We've got a very good producer who makes us sound vaguely good. So
yeah. And then we've got it. So we were meant to have a video out on Saturday, and as you probably noticed, it hasn't come out. But there was just a few more edits that we just wanted to do before we release it, because I think for us, like, we're not that big, so it's better to get it right than just get something out that we don't feel 100% happy with. So
of course,
any day that should be coming out. And that experience was just incredible. Like, we worked with a film company called We Are Making a Film. Great,
I like that.
Great name. Yeah,
that's cool.
Brilliant
That's
name.
exactly what it says.
It's on the jar, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, basically they were doing a shoot, and they'd hired all this like proper TV equipment, like massive lights, a crane, like everything. Not for us, for another shoot. But they had to take it back on the Monday because the shoot finished on the Friday, and we were filming Saturday, Sunday. So we had a full-on TV crew at our disposal.
Oh, that's fucking
video.
brilliant.
It was insane. Insane. Like,
yeah.
And then we took over Sam's uncle's house. Like, he's got this really like, you've seen it on Instagram. It looks like a fucking castle. And we just took over that for a weekend, and
that looked so sick. You were putting the Instagram stuff, and I was like, yes, that looks sick.
it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it does look
that's really
very
cool.
class. Very class.
It's classy but gruesome when you see this video. It's it's quite if you're if you're a fan of like American Horror Story on Netflix and that kind of thing, I think the director has definitely managed to capture that kind of
that's so cool.
very very pretty and nice, but also really kind of dark and messed up
Oh,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
sick.
I like that.
Um,
What's it been like for you boys on camera? Have you had much experience of that in the past, or has this been like your first day of having a proper good film shoot? Did you just raise your eyebrows at that question?
Yeah, I
Or-
did. Yeah, because look, check out my OnlyFans. I'll put it in the thing. Like,
Links in the bio. Links in the bio.
yeah.
Yeah, use code TSRP for.
Yeah. No, the reason I say that is because Pete, haven't you been in Star Wars?
What?
Yeah,
yeah. So before you get too excited, it's nothing major.
it's pretty big.
I did. I used to work as a film extra quite a lot until I teach the guitar as my day job these days. But before I started doing that, I was actually doing. I was extraing and occasionally acting on TV shows and films and stuff. And Star Wars, the Solo film, was the one that I worked on.
That's so cool.
That's so sick.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we actually have a movie
That is
star in
very
our
cool.
midst.
yeah.
And EastEnders.
And EastEnders, and you were on that other
Wow.
film. What was that other film? The comedy.
Mindhorn.
Mindhorn, that's it. You were in that.
It's Julian Barrett from The Mighty Boosh.
Yeah.
Steve Coogan's there in it as well. But it's a really funny film. I don't think it was a huge blockbuster or anything, but it was quite. It was a bit like the Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa, kind of thing, And there's a bit
Cult
where
classic.
a cult classic, exactly. Yeah. So me and my girlfriend Natasha are kind of stood there in this sort of private members club watching Julian Barrett's character make a total arse of himself and accidentally punch the barmaid in front of Steve Coogan.
Oh, what a job.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
the
How
rest of
come
it-
you stopped that then? Did you just?
I loved doing it, but you just don't know when you're gonna get booked for a job next. Like you have periods of like if you can get booked on a job which is like 20, 30 days long, then it's great. But from a sort of flexibility point of view, it was really good. You'd meet a lot of other young creatives trying to sort of make some sort of way into this mad world. And of course, me and Tash knew no one in London at the time. But neither did my brother. And so my brother did this as well. And, he loved doing it. We all had a great time doing it, but you just can't really rely on it, I don't think, unless you really sort of get in with the agents. It's pure nepotism. It's like the music industry, really. It's just the more you can brown nose, as it were, the more chance you'll have of getting booked.
Sure. And you're a talented frontman, so
That's fair enough.
you got to go for that instead.
Yeah.
If there's another option to go down, then fronting a top band's a pretty good one.
There are bigger horizons for me to pursue than being a blur in the background of Star Wars.
Yeah, for sure.
The rest of us, no, I don't think we've had any camera. Has Sam done any extra work? I don't think it.
I
no.
don't think so. Johnny has. Johnny did
has.
a bit.
Yeah. You wrote to
Yeah.
me. I've done.
No.
I don't really.
Well, so-
I don't like being on camera. I find it's weird.
Are you not a fan?
Yeah, I don't like. This is fine. This is okay. But like, find
this we can work with, but
yeah. But videos I just find really unnatural and just very I just get really awkward and self-conscious.
Yeah, I can understand that. It's almost like a learnt trait, isn't it?
Yeah.
You almost like find that you almost like get into a swing of it. Like the first few ones that we did that were filmed were like just trying to get into the groove of being in front of a camera and almost forgetting it's there. Like I've literally forgot it's there that much that I forgot to record a little section of mine. So, so I've got a little gap.
There you go.
Yeah. Does that work? Yeah. Because normally I don't have to touch it.
No, I know. We can't rely on the cameraman now. We're all in separate places.
Yeah, I was debating on just seeing whether my brother wanted to stand in the corner of my room and every time it went off he just pressed the button, but I couldn't quite get him to do that one this time round.
Oh my god.
So on the topic of videos and all that, how do you find like your creative process, like both with videos and like writing songs? Like, does it stem very much from one of you, or is it really collaborative?
It's pretty collaborative. Like, for songs, it'll be like one of us will have a little idea or maybe do a demo and then bring it to the rest of the band, and then they'll do their bit, and then it will take its own path. And then for videos, it's very much working with the director, I suppose, and because usually they'll have quite a bit of vision as well. Because when you do it, it's like a joint venture almost. It's not like we go, this is what we want. Usually it's like a collaboration with whatever production company or director that we're working with, really.
Right.
And kind of what they can make work. This last one probably is the most that we've like. Actually, I don't think we have any creative input in it. They just came to us with the idea, and it was really solid. And we were like, we'll just stand around.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And, yeah,
cool.
Sounds great.
We'll just do exactly what you tell us to do, and hopefully it will work out. That's basically how it works, isn't it?
Yeah, but like the one for Marvi, like that was just all filmed on our phones because we were we're in lockdown, so what can we do? And then my partner edited it all together and just stitched it together.
Oh wow!
And and I think that was a really fun way of doing it because we could all just and like film like the scenes ourselves. And I don't know if you saw like the BBC introducing video for Whip, which got Pete in a dress looking beautiful. But that was just like that was just us like messing about.
Yeah.
Because we had a camera and we had some lights and we were like, let's just see how far we can push this.
See what we could do with it.
Yeah. See how weird we can go. Because we're all just we're all just a bunch of fucking weirdos. So
I like that. That's cool.
Oh dear, Pete, are you frozen or are you just like holding your camera?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hey.
Yes, right, quick.
Cool.
Someone say something interesting.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can everyone hear?
Let's make sure nothing changes. Just keep everything exactly the same.
Don't touch anything.
Fuck it out.
So,
okay,
Joe, reel us into the question again, so we've got something to answer from, and then I'll cut all that shit out.
So,
hopefully.
I was saying that from the sounds of things, you've done some really cool gigs, sold out some shows, done a lot over in Europe. So, just generally, some of your best gig experiences, some of your worst, some stories from that.
I mean, probably the biggest, well, in fact, easily the biggest show we've done to date was literally right before the whole coronavirus situation. You know, we did a festival in Marburg, which, as you guys might know, is the twin town of Northampton in Germany. Mm-hmm. And so obviously they do Twin Fest in Northampton. They do Mano Music Festival over there, which it's an even bigger thing because Marburg has twin towns all over the place. It not just has Northampton and Poitiers in France, but it's also twinned with 4 other places. There's a place in Tunisia that it's twinned with. There's a place in Slovenia and Romania as well, I think. So it's a big thing. And
it's a bit of a rite of passage because I think the Barat said the same thing because they did it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Sapa the year before as well, I think, or last year Sapa did it. So it was an honour to be asked to do that, and it was the sort of coveted like headline slot which they often give to the sort of I don't know, for some reason the bands from the UK often sort of get that headline slot, and we'd gone from never sort of playing anywhere outside the UK to suddenly turning up in this place, and you're playing at they've got this venue called the KFZ, the KFZ, and it's just this amazing place. It's like Romender on steroids. That's the only way I can put it.
Yeah. I will say though, that was not the best gig. That was like, for me, that was actually the worst gig out of like the 4 that we played.
You think?
Let me tell you why. When we played the first night we got there, I think we'd been up since 2 a.m. because we left Sam's mum's or something like that, and then we'd got the coach, and then we'd flown over, and we got to Marburg I think at 3 p.m. that afternoon, 12 hours later or whatever.
Yeah.
And then we were headlining the first night, which was a night for like all of the acts that had come across from Europe, and they did like a kind of welcome night, and we did the headline slot there. And like Pete said, we hadn't really done anything like on that level before, and actually the sound was shit for the first song, but the reaction on that first night was just so intense, and so like people were moshing, people were like crowd surfing, they were going absolutely crazy on that first night, and it was just like a kind of like, we all looked at each other and we were like,
what the fuck?
What the fuck? Like, the fuck is this? And because it was so unexpected, that's what made it good. The KFZ one, everyone, like when we spoke to the Barretts and like Salpa and everyone, they were like, oh, that's the best gig, that's the best one, that's whatever. And then when you like, because you get that expectation of like, oh my God, this is going to be amazing, you then do it and you're like, I mean, it was all right. But that first gig just completely like blew me away, because it was still probably a crowd of 500, 600 people. So it wasn't like a small crowd. Granted, it wasn't 2,000 people, but they were literally going mad for it.
Yeah, it was nuts.
Sick.
Yeah, it was so good.
Yeah.
And there was so many stories from that like Johnny got electrocuted. He was swinging from a light fitting and he got electrocuted, and like he had burns like along his hands from where he got electrocuted.
Fucking hell!
He accidentally let off.
We need a bit more context here, I think.
Should we be saying this? We can say this. We're in England. We're not in Germany. He let off some mace, some pepper spray in a club, and everyone immediately started like throwing up everywhere because it was this tiny little.
He thought it was deodorant. He thought it was like a little one of those mini cans of Lynx Africa. He like this German girl he was hooking up with out there gives him this little can, but goes to spray it under his armpit, and then the thing doesn't stop spraying, and it's like, what is going on here? And suddenly everyone's like, what is that? And we thought it was some sort of like terrorist attack or something, and then everyone starts piling out
where they just start throwing up on each other.
And
it was pepper spray. And
God.
Fortunately, we left our mark on that town.
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're not allowed back. Actually, bad.
Oh my God! It was
it was an amazing festival.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really need to go. We need to go out there whenever it next happens. But when it does, we're gonna have to go out there and just
Oh, you totally should.
get some footage and just be involved in that. Love it. I love stuff like that. Like,
I'll show you a good time.
The closing party, which was like, it was kind of like the farewell to all the English people, was in this bar called Sud House. I've never seen such carnage in
Debauchery.
my life. It was literally like football hooliganism times 20. People were breaking tables, smashing glasses. That is when getting naked, like full on naked and dancing on the bar. Johnny like swung from the light fitting, and it like he was like going crazy.
And the bar manager The bar manager was encouraging this. He was like, they had a full sink of water just there at the bar and stuff. You know,
Pete got put in the dishwasher.
Everyone's getting their heads dunked into this sink full of water, almost as some kind of like baptism thing. Every man in that place was topless. And it was just like, you know.
Oh, it sounds fucking incredible. That sounds.
It was like I think I turned to Antia, who was like our chaperone, if you will, and I was just like, "Are you going to stop this?" And she's like, "They do it every year," and I'm like, "What? You let them do this every year?"
And the manager of the bar is perfectly fine with it. Like.
Yeah,
they're like, no, it's okay. It's okay. We'll you know,
we'll clean it up.
We'll clear it up. Yeah, and it was open till like 7 o'clock the next morning, wasn't it?
Oh my god, this sounds like my dream. This sounds like something that, like, especially now we've been in lockdown so long. I need a fucking
That's what the world needs
soon. I need to I need to go get fucked up somewhere, and that type of night is what I need.
That is the place to do it.
That sounds ideal.
Honestly,
oh my god,
it was.
I
it was
hope
so
that
insane.
it comes back soon.
Yeah, you gotta go because it was so good.
We'll be there.
Mate,
we'll be there.
Now stories like that have come out. First off, I was like, yay! When Sarpa and the Barretts and all that were chatting about it, and I think even Garden were talking about it, and like, we were like, oh yeah, I'm down to go. Like, it sounds like a good crack. But now, different story. I mean,
you can ask Rolling Thunder about that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, they're on.
They were getting involved.
They might be coming.
Yeah. I mean,
Jack versus Hot Dog.
Their chaperone was very strict, so she was like telling the Rolling Thunder guys, like, you got to go to bed. I'm taking you home. Whereas like ours was like,
get involved.
Couldn't even stop us. Like, we were like a force of nature. Like, it was just so funny. Oh my god.
Oh, that sounds so much fun.
It was great.
So much fun. We're going, Joe, I'm afraid.
I've just booked flights. I don't know where or when, but I'm that sounds unreal.
Yeah. So then to have that and then 5 days later go into lockdown, it was like, fuck. Like,
highs and lows.
Yeah.
But thank God you got it in, because like if it had cancelled it, then you wouldn't have even had those stories. So
it was that close to being cancelled.
That's the main thing. Yeah, that's crazy.
I bet. That's fucking what. I always feel like the Europeans do it differently though. I feel like when you like England is like crazy in like in a weird way, but I feel like whenever English people go out there, it's just a different type of. I don't know what happens. I feel like there's something in the water in some of these cities that are just. It just goes downhill quickly.
Really quickly.
Honestly, I've never ever, like, there's videos in the Marv videos, there's clips and like we've like cut them in there, but there is like clips of like Johnny being raised up like with all these naked men under him, like, and then just being like dunked into this thing and then falls onto a table and it smashes, and like, oh, it was just like, I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that sounds.
You like go outside the smoking area just to like breathe, and you're like,
yeah.
What's going on in there?
What? What's happening in there? Can anyone explain?
How is this all legal? Like, what the fuck?
I don't think it was. But...
Is there something else in this cigarette?
Yeah. Oh, dear. So
that's sick.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's mad. What an experience. How about so like more UK based? Have you had a lot of gigs here?
We're God, I'm trying to think. So we played in London back in February. That was kind of our last.
That was a great gig.
That was great. Really,
That was with
really good.
with Sarpa and Janae and Sarah, who's now
Low Girl.
what are they called now? Low Girl.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, their sound. They're
That's
brilliant.
Yeah.
They are so good.
So that was like a really good gig because, yeah, between the four of us, it was the 4 acts. It was like a great night because it was all Northampton and Bedford based. So it was a really good vibe because usually you play some gigs and bands might interact a little bit, you know, have a little like, how you do, mate? Blah, blah. But because it was all like, we're all from Northampton or the Midlands and we were all playing there was a really nice, friendly vibe.
Community.
Yeah, for sure.
We did a big show. It was kind of like a warm-up show for Mano, you know, for the festival in Germany at the Lamplighter, and it's always quite a good night at the Lamplighter, just because it's, you know, it's more a pub than it is a music venue. So they just plonk a band in the middle of the pub, and it's just always rammed in there, and the sound's really good. You know, considering it's not a dedicated live music space, it just sounds great in there.
It's just a boozer.
Yeah, but it sounds amazing in there.
I've yet to go see someone there. I've lived in Leeds the last 3 years, so like the Lamplighter, like I heard so many things now coming back and being more in tune with the scene around here, and it's like again, once everything's back open, tell you where we're going to be most Saturday nights, Joe.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we're going to be over
We
that
both
way.
found it a little bit, didn't we? Because we've been away at uni for 3 years and getting involved in like the Manchester and Leeds scene as much as possible, and then came back and started this, and it's like we sort of didn't realise that a lot of these things were here like before. Now we just, as soon as we were desperate to get into it, it's like everything closes. But yeah, Lamplighter and
Time will
Prince
come.
and all those places are like iconic.
Yeah. The Black Prince has been good. We've had some good gigs there. Like,
Yeah.
there was one where we dressed up all in like Illuminati like stuff. And then we took some like protest signs saying fuck Trump, and then we were like going through the garden, and then the promoter went to call the police on us because they thought that we were some like
Hijacking the
just
night.
we're like no, it's our gig.
No, you like took the hood down and we're like, no,
Hang on. Look who it is. Yeah.
I've got my keyboard under this. Like.
Yeah, exactly. That was a good gig, that was.
Oh wow, that is sick.
Yeah.
That's such a cool idea as well to try and like. That's a very sick idea to try and like get something different in, but it's jokes that no one realised. No one thought.
No.
You know, when you're putting on a gig of a band that's very diverse and very unique in their own way, you don't think, surely this might be them.
No.
That'd be your one thought, wouldn't it?
No.
But no,
No.
hooligans.
Good, man.
But yeah, you
Right. So we.
Oh, go on.
I just heard a few memories there.
I was
I
being
don't know
polite.
what happened.
I was being polite. I was like, no, let the host speak.
No. Crack on.
But like, there's definitely a scene down in London of like bands that are like trying to push live shows and what is a live show. Like Pete's mates, Woos and Sweat, great bands. And they're like, Woos made like effigies of themselves and then like threw them into the crowd, and like people would just like tear their bodies apart and stuff like that.
That's
So there's a real
crazy.
scene of like almost doing stunts, like
Yeah.
and making it.
Going beyond
Just
the
get-
music, you know, they're fully, they're not, you know, like Woos aren't just a band, you know, they're artists. Like I think, you know, they studied art, and you know, they make things and make really amazing sets for their videos. I think they made their own board game for one of the videos as well, and Sweat, the other band, basically coded their own virtual reality, like VR nightclub. So instead of playing at actual music venues,
gigs there.
and they got all kinds of artists playing there. They got Lynx Africa, who are sort of, he's a sort of almost, I don't know, like a kind of South London producer, singer, kind of almost drag act kind of thing. And the PVA, who are another really amazing South London band. It's been amazing to kind of dive into all the sort of Brixton Windmill kind of scene. Some very creative ideas.
Yeah, the weird, wonderful. Yeah, that was one Brixton Windmill. I was looking at trying to get tickets to Itchy Teeth there.
Oh yeah,
probably 12. It might have been 12 months ago, but they played it for their Ambient Tofu single release. They did something there, and they're another really, really unique band that we've spoken about in the past. But I think that area of London seems to have this real, like, weird and wonderful scene almost. It's this stuff that, whatever happens, you don't question it because it's not that out of the ordinary. And I think that's brilliant, especially for bands like yourselves. It kind of allows you to have that freedom to be able to be like, I think this looks really sick. I think this is something we need to do, and just do it because there's no social restraints that a lot, if you were doing it in, say, Manchester or in Northampton, that you might normally have.
Yeah. I think it shocked the kind of acts and artists that you get in South London. Kind of almost it shocks the rest of the country. Like Fat White Family are kind of the epitome of that sort of band. Obviously, I guess their more recent stuff is a little bit more sort of accessible, but they are a band who shock. And it's
have a wow factor to them.
Yeah, and I think coming to London, you realise that you're a small fish in a really big pond. So if you're not pushing yourself creatively,
in a fucking sea,
you're not even treading water. So I think for us it was very eye-opening, but it has pushed us to do creative stuff that we probably never would have thought of doing living in Northampton. So
yeah, I think having them creative, almost minds around you, you all obviously feed off each other. I think that's something that's really important whenever you're doing something creative. You've got to have similar-minded people. Obviously, in Northampton, what you got creativity-wise, apart from the local band scene,
shoes,
there's not many artists. There's
got the shoe museum.
Yeah, you're not wrong. Docks.
Yeah.
That's
really shoes, mate. Smashing them out.
That's about it. That's literally all we've got is shoes. Is all we've done creative, really, apart from the smaller band scene. That's it. That's of the creative realm. So I think having going into that area of London and having that around you must be something that's so helpful and almost that extra little bit to be able to push you forward and explore these different zones and expect nothing at the same time, so you can just arrive at whatever you arrive at, and if you're happy with it, you can perform it in the way that however you feel fits to that track.
For sure.
Yeah.
James? I think it was quite
so sick.
Quite daunting at first, because it was just kind of oh fuck, these guys are on a level, we're not even we're not even close. But then over time we've got braver, I think, with our sound and our videos and our social media and stuff like that, and I think it creates a better experience, I suppose.
Absolutely trying to it's almost diving into all realms of the artist spectrum, innit? Instead of just kind of sticking musically, you realise that there is more to it that you can as artists delve into and show that creative force that you have.
And the longer we keep going and meeting people along the way, and I guess the more forms of expression and art kind of make their way into our sort of whole package, if that makes sense. Like, Johnny, our bass player, is not only is he a bass player, he's he's just an all-round artist. He creates things and does amazing drawings. The artwork for both Whip and Marvy were sort of hand drawn by him, and of course he knows all these other sort of artistic people in London as well. Like, that's how we got this huge sort of production crew on our latest video. There's this amazing director called Ksenia who he's good friends with, and just all these really interesting ideas have sort of come out. And like I say, the more people we meet along the way, the more of these kind of ideas become part of this band. This band becomes more than just 4 people. It becomes a whole artistic,
like network almost, isn't it?
Like
it's
like a platform to just put anything on in that name,
pretty much.
and you say whether it's a piece of art or a video and some sort of musical piece, it gives you a proper platform to work from, doesn't it? And I think that is really sick. And I think London is becoming that. It's almost like our version of like that American dream type place where like people sort of make that pilgrimage to LA and try and make it. And I think London's almost got that about it. Like, you can just go there and, as you say, just do what you want to do.
Yeah,
and the chances of good things happening is so high.
Back in the extras days, I was I met a few people who had actually moved from LA to pursue their dreams in London. They'd actually gone the other way around. Yeah.
Wow, there you go.
There was who was that band that you drove the van for, Pete? Didn't they come from France?
Husky Loops. They're an Italian band. Yeah,
that's it. Not France.
And but yeah, they've done it to a large degree. They've the success that they've had, and they've had their music included in the latest FIFA game, and they've played Reading and done tours up and down the country. They've done great.
Yeah.
That's sick.
So it does work for people. Obviously, it's, as Josh said, you're a very small fish in a big pond. But if you're innovative and interesting enough as an artist, then you can cut through the noise somehow.
No, I like that. I do like that.
Yeah, I think that is, and I think that's London in a nutshell, really, isn't it? You've got to just be unique enough to stand out away from all this massive crowd that you're within. I think but the fast-moving pace of it allows you to develop alongside and find your own way. I think it's a really interesting place in the country,
for sure.
But we normally do like a section at the end of our podcast where we talk about new bands and up-and-coming artists that we're listening to and what yourselves are listening to. So what's your favourite up-and-coming artist that you're really enjoying at the minute?
God, I've been listening to a lot of kind of older stuff, I guess, at the moment.
Oh yeah,
like I've got back into Fleet Foxes a lot recently, but again, that's their, they don't need any promotion, do they? What they call? Go on, you go first, Josh. Let me think about this.
I mean, we've kind of already touched on them, but like, I love Sweat. I think Sweat are an amazing band. And fun fact about Sweat, the female member in their band is Osama Bin Laden's niece. Yes.
Yep.
For real.
What?
You can Google that.
Wait.
You can Google that.
So
wait, we've got a title
the
already.
female member.
Yeah. Of Sweat is Osama Bin Laden's niece.
What?
There you go. Now, if that's not
I
easy,
think people are aware of this. I was thinking, God, do they want people to know that? But to be fair, there is an
Daily
article
Mail.
about this. Yeah, it's in the Daily Mail.
our good friends Woos, another great band. Imagine if South Korea produced Franz Ferdinand and, I don't know, shoved it through a psychedelia, basically.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Wow, that is an unbelievable way to put it.
I think they've just recorded their album with the synth player from The Horrors is producing it.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's sick.
That's so sick.
Very cool.
Incredible band. Great live band. Low Girl. If we're thinking local, that ICU track was just
it's fantastic.
It's fucking unreal. We spoke about them. What, like when we went to the Sarpa gig. We went to the Sarpa gig, the socially distanced one, and Low Girl supported. Yeah. And I think she was like my band that I spoke about that week, and it unbelievable. Her voice is something that I haven't heard like that in a long while. I
mean, the emotion
fantastic.
in Sarah's voice, like, you could feel every bit of emotion.
Yeah.
Like, just absolutely
Absolutely.
insane.
And they were very topical lyrics, you know. It's I think writing a song about the pandemic is very risky, you know, because there's just a risk of sounding very sort of cliched, you know, because obviously everyone's talking about that, and you know, the fact music should be some sort of escape from all that. But you know, she did actually do it in the really sort of not so obvious kind of way, and you know, and it really it just breaks your heart listening to it, you know, because it is a heartbreaking situation. She captured that perfectly.
Oh my god, yeah.
So yeah, very good track.
Yeah, she really did capture it. There's a couple of moments where, like, if I just have it on, like, I can like listen to it and it's like in the background and stuff like that. But if I actually sit, real headphones on, sat listening through it, like, it actually like proper makes you well up, because it has, her voice adds that extra level of almost like it's so angelic, like telling this story. It is so unique. It's such a brilliant track. I'm a massive fan.
Yeah,
massive fan of that.
Talking of the socially distanced gig she did, we're doing one of those gigs in December at the Crawford Arms.
Yeah.
Are you actually?
Yeah, we've
brilliant.
we've not sort of we're just waiting for the Facebook event to sort of then announce it and stuff. But we're the 11th of December. We're doing one of those gigs at the Crawford Arms. We're just hoping it can still go ahead. You know, it depends, because the 11th of December will technically...
Fingers fucking crossed.
Because it will be just after the lockdown, technically. But if they extend the lockdown, we're buggered.
Oh, that's gonna keep you. That's gonna keep you so up in air until like the second or whatever it is. It's gonna be like, can it happen? Yeah. No one knows yet. It's like, that's brilliant. That'd be so good really though. Good.
Yeah, it'd be amazing if it goes ahead. You know,
it's such a unique experience as well.
We found it sort of straight, like, so good. It was such a good experience, and Sarpa were good because it actually sold out before we got tickets. So we sat with Marcus's mum and brother.
Oh, nice.
Because they had 2 seats extra on their bench. So that was all quite funny. But it was, it's a strange experience. It's like a whole different way to appreciate it.
Yeah. No, it looked good on the live. Live stream.
It's almost more like watching a performance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was so good. It was so good.
Really sick. Well,
but go on then, Peter. Have you got a band? Or artist?
There's a track called Summertime by someone called Astral Weeks that I think that's what it's called, Astral Weeks. I was just listening to the Spotify playlist the other day, and I just thought this track was phenomenal. It's the only track on their Spotify, and it's really good. I've not really read anything about them or anything. I just love that track, just that one track.
Oh, that's cool.
That's my offering.
Beautiful. That's a perfect little shout out. That's cool. That's all good.
Absolutely. I love it when you find a band that's like that and like release like 1 or 2 tracks and you're like, fuck, who are these?
Yeah.
These are sick. When are they going to come out with more? Please.
Oh, there's another artist called Bloody Bath from Northampton who's amazing as well.
Oh, yeah. Bloody Bath. He's really good. Think like Joy Division, early New Order, dark wave kind of style. But it's really good friends with Johnny, our bassist, and it's basically because I think his mum recently passed away, but I think he broke up with his girlfriend, and then he just channeled it into this music, and it's just brilliant, really good.
Wow,
like,
that sounds really sick.
Yeah. Definitely
Beautiful.
catch up with him, Kaylin.
Absolutely. Go on, Joe. Take us away. What you got?
Cool. Well, I've got one. I had some information on my laptop, but again, it's frozen, so I don't have as much anymore. But I want to give a shout out to a band called Ladybird, who I put in the playlist. They're a Kent band, I think, if I'm remembering correctly, and they remixed one of the New Consistent's new song, which was also in the playlist. He's from near Birmingham, and he's an artist that we've been speaking about for a while. And Ladybird did a remix of his song, which got me onto them, and they're really sick. They've got like this sort of punky like rap over sort of like heavier like sort of grunge music almost. They sort of rap over it. They've got a song called Spoons, which I put in the playlist, and it's literally just about spoons, but it's got that sort of like political Sex Pistols. Yeah, literally about Weatherspoons.
Nice.
Not about
really
the cutlery spoons.
No, about Weatherspoons rather
spoon
than
rings.
the cutlery.
It's like,
Yeah, to be fair, for the 3% of our listeners that are from the US, spoons is pubs, not the cutlery. In case you got it.
The utensil.
But yeah, they're really sick. Got like a bit of a Sex Pistols vibe, but over like a more like modern indie grunge sort of music. But yeah, they're really sick, and the remix was really cool. So check that out if you haven't.
You will, yeah. I'll listen to that.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to talk about a band that we might have spoken about before, but I can't remember whether we have.
Cool.
So I'm going to talk about them again. They're called Voodoo Bandits.
We have. I
Have
don't
I
know,
spoken about
actually.
them before, Joe?
They've been in the playlist before, but I can't remember if we did an actual sort of feature on them. So
Yeah, because I know their Yesterday's Jam was
Yeah.
in the playlist a few weeks ago, but they've recently released a single called Backyard Wrestling, and they're a band from the Isle of Man, and their music it's a very almost classic indie rock sort of tune, and it's got a real good sing-along vibe to it, but it's everything else that comes with it that I've really enjoyed of like their content that they're bringing out alongside it. Like they've brought out some decent merchandise with like stickers and wristbands and all that shit, but like with this like actual photographs that are like linked directly to what they've been making. I've been really impressed with the artwork as well on their single covers. It's all sketched out, and it's I'm just really, really impressed with this band. They're a class act.
That sounds great. Well,
And everything
Voodoo
fits
Bandits.
a nice Voodoo Bandits. Yeah. They're really sick actually. They're they're a band that have gained a bit of traction, I think, recently. They're followed actually by a couple of people that we follow on Instagram, Garden and the Cover Sets and Indie Rocks. But yeah, they're class.
Sweet.
Really good band, and I think they're starting to gain a bit more traction, which I think is very well deserved.
Cool.
But
beautiful.
yeah, I think that.
Lovely. Well,
I think
there we
that
go.
probably should call it. I think we should wrap it up. We've been recording for
2
2
hours.
hours
Yeah,
or
I
so.
know.
Wow.
It's not bad at all. I don't know how much we're gonna have to cut out because of the technical issues, but yeah, we've done all right out of that, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Enjoyed it.
Loved having you boys on. It's
Yeah.
been really good to
No,
chat.
thank you for having us. It's been really nice.
No, we do. We appreciate it so much, and it does mean a lot to get bands like you on. It's sort of the whole point. And yeah, as I'm sure Elliot was about to say before I just shouted over him, that hopefully next time we can get one done in person.
Absolutely.
Get you here. We'll have a nice chat about the technical difficulties, and that'd be sick. But we do really appreciate doing this.
No
worries.
cheers. Thank you.
And we'll see you at the gig.
Absolutely. It's been
Yes.
Yeah, we'll see you down the
Yeah,
Crawford on the 11th of
we will
December.
indeed, definitely.
Crawford
Yeah.
Arms.
We'll be there unless Absolutely, unless Bojo keeps being a cock.
Wow.
It's got to be done, isn't it?
I mean,
Not the being the cockpit.
Let's hope. And I think if that is there, we'll definitely be down there seeing you boys and try and get something going.
100%.
But it has been an absolute pleasure, lads. So we're going to wrap it up there, and we'll see you all on the other side. Peace.
Peace and love.